Good evening, guys. So today we're doing a video outside of the truck, a little bit away from the truck itself, and get a little bit more into what a lot of people requested in regards to used car values and how I've been able to own so many vehicles throughout my life and how I'm able to get in and out. So somebody said, I'd like you to do a video on how you get a deal and how you buy cars and how I get the most from my trade. And so I would like to say that first things first, when you bring a trade in and you know the vehicle from the time it's brand new to the time you're ready to trade it, um, you know the whole history of it, and you have to be still objective when you go into it. So you might think my car's a 10, but to me it may be a 5. So the best thing to do is be objective, know where you're going when you go in. So, in all reality, it'd be best if you could know the vehicle you're going to buy and want to get and find that exact vehicle. Then you can go to that dealer's website and do an internet lead. You don't need to go down there. Them seeing your car is really not a big deal as long as you're honest with them. They can do what's called a blind trade appraisal. Now, that number will change if you get there and you promise them, just pristine vehicle, and you bring them a jalopy. That number's going to go down. They're not going to stick with that. If they give you any numbers over the phone or over the internet, it's going to be WAC with approved credit, WAD with approved down, APRs or annual percentage rates. So all of those things are going to be up to you to prove. And so I take a lot of good care of my vehicle. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. So I know when I tell them, hey, can you just do a blind trade on this and tell me what you think? It's going to give me a range of what I think that dealer is going to offer me. If I've went to my favorite places to look for car values are Edmunds, Kelly Blue Book or KBB, NADA or True Car, even searching, things like Craigslist helps to find out what values of similar vehicles like yours might be going for. So I would say start with those. What I like about Carfax is especially if you're trading off a vehicle that you did not own since it was new and you didn't know the exact history, you run the Carfax, it's going to give you a base range of what that vehicle is going to be worth. Now that's just a range. Okay, that's not set in stone. That doesn't mean what it is. But with all of those things working in your favor, you can then use the law of averages between all of those sites you can do. Then you take that average, and that's kind of your starting point. Now, all of those sites traditionally are going to ask you, is it excellent, poor, great, fair, whatever, ways that they're describing their conditions. Usually there's a definition or a little I right there. You can click it, and that'll give you, what their definition of is. And you really need to be accurate with that, especially if you're going to be asking dealers to do blind trades. If you have a mint vehicle and it can roll onto the showroom, well, then you can feel free selecting excellent. But you would just really got to be true with yourself, true with the dealer when you get a hold of them. Once you get those averages, then I like to go to Cars.com. So this is my favorite place to go because what I'll do is I'll put in there, we're just going to pick a random vehicle. So we go, let's see here. Used Ram 2500. We're going to put no price, max. We're going to hit search. And then it's very easy. So, because you can see right here, they're showing 347 matches. You want to be accurate with the range that you're picking because dealers aren't traditionally going, hundreds of miles unless they're just buying from auction. So 250 within my actual zip is pretty good. And then you go down here and you pick exactly what your vehicle is you're trading. So if you're going to go down here and say it's 2500, we're going to say it's a Bighorn. Let's say yours is an '07. Oh, I'm sorry. 12 is when Ram came in and Dodge went away. So we're just going to say 12 and just give it, if your truck's in excellent condition and super low miles, give it a couple years. But let's just say, let's give it 1 year. And then go through these trims and say, wow, look, this one's got 149,000 miles and they're asking 27,000. Now say you found the vehicle you want at Castle Rock
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Okay, great. So you know that they're selling a similar vehicle for 27,000. So say if your vehicle only had 90,000 miles on it, and this one's a gas and yours was a diesel, price them, match it comparably. So when you pick in here, go into fuel type, pick diesel. Okay, now that even slims it down much more. So within 250 miles, there's only two dealers listing a 2012. So if you had a 2012 that's in excellent condition, only 90,000 miles, and the Kelly Blue Book. Now, these are retail prices, obviously, so these are not the prices that you can expect in trade necessarily. Okay, so keep that in mind. Also, this is a retail price, so they're going to give you your trade value or your private party value, or even what you could, what a dealer would sell it for, I guess, if you will. And you're looking for the lower numbers where it talks about your trade values. So, you can find a lot of information here, and this is basically your ammo when you go in. The people that get poor trade values for their vehicles are traditionally ones that don't do their homework. When they go in, you get enamored with the process. You found the truck, you're in love with it, and I'm not saying that you wouldn't get a good deal or whatever, but this is your hard-earned money that you work for to buy this other vehicle, pay it off, or make payments on for a couple of years. Now you're ready to trade it, and if you've done really good maintenance and you've taken really good care of it, shouldn't you benefit from that? Because the dealer's going to. They're going to be able to list it. Now, having worked at a dealership, I can tell you people that would come in and work with me. I sold a lot of cars, but I didn't make a lot of money doing that because I had to sell in quantity because I wanted to give people a fair deal, a fair trade. So if my used car manager said their vehicle is worth this, I'd make him show me. Then I'd go back and say, this is what your car's worth. A lot of other people will come back and say, well, it's actually only worth, say $4,000 less than what they actually know it's worth. So if you do all your homework and the dealer comes back to you and says, well, you believe your vehicle's trade value is 25 and you're comfortable with that, and he comes back at 20, and you can see that the market demands that 25, then I think either A, you need to hold your ground, find another dealer, or just tell the guy, say, I won't take a penny less than 25. That salesman is making his own decision to hold that. It's called holding on the trade. And he's making his own decision to hold. Because if he makes, say, 10% or even 20% on the holding of your trade, he's now making $1,000 off your car. And then the dealership makes the rest, and then he gets his commission for selling the new car. So if you know all of these games and you know where your value is, then you can feel confident going in there and say, no, thank you. Now, a good, honest dealer, they'll come back pretty close to those numbers, especially if you print them out and take them with you. And I would say that if you've went to dealer sites and Auto Trader and Cars.com and even Craigslist, and you can kind of see what the market is demanding for your vehicle. Now, don't go in and expect to get 2019 trade values if yours is a 12. You got to really make sure you dial that in and take everything in with you. And then when it comes to getting the most for your trade, you got to realize too that some of these dealers are marking up their new vehicle X amount just because of the way the world is today. So I would recommend, right now it seems comfortable paying MSRP, which a few years ago was really taboo to do such a thing. But that's kind of what it is now. Now, some vehicles aren't as popular as others. So say a Super Duty, it's super popular. They're not discounting them. Right now, some Rams here in Colorado new, they're actually selling at invoice. So, you really got to make sure that, once you find the dealer that's asking MSRP or less, because then you know that you're already good. Because if they're already marking it up 20, they could overvalue your trade and be like, oh, if all of a sudden you price it at 25 and you're like, okay, that seems reasonable. That's what the market's demanding. They go in and they say, we're going to give you 30, but their truck is marked up 15 grand, then you're not making that money. So don't fall into any, type of like trust with these dealers. But, if you go to Google, you can obviously find out reputable dealers, people that have a good vibe. You can reach out to me. I have dealers that I personally feel comfortable working with. I don't make anything from giving you their business if you were to go out there and buy, but I know that they're honest to good, dealers to work with, and they're there. They have to make money, but they're not going to make you feel like you left with a bad deal or getting taken, because some of those dealers I actually worked for, and I knew that that's the case.
So now you go to and say, well, what's the value in trading? Maybe I'll just sell it outright because I can sell it for a couple grand more. Well, that idea is fair. However, I wanted to show you something because here in Colorado, you pay tax on everything that you purchase that's a commodity or something tangible. Maybe not necessarily food. In some counties, they don't charge for food, but uh, in our area, we have to pay tax on everything that we purchase. Meaning, if I buy an $80,000 truck and I have no trade, I'm going to pay taxes on $80,000. My tax rate is 8.5%. That means I'm going to pay $6,800 in taxes. So when you sit back and think about it, like, okay, damn, that's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. So this is where your trade comes in, and these are where the values come in. So, and really where you got to stick, you may be able to make way more selling it outright, but you may lose that in taxes. So let's just put a scenario together. I drew up some numbers here, and basically I'm going to show you. So our new vehicle, this is about the price of everything these days. We're just using it as a rough idea. So $80,000 on a new vehicle. Say you can get $60,000 for your trade. Well, that leaves you a $20,000 difference. Well, here in Colorado, if you have a trade, you've already paid taxes on this $60,000 vehicle at some point. Even if it was an $80,000, you already paid taxes, but you only have to pay the difference on the two. Well, now you're only paying tax on $20,000, which breaks down to $1,700 in taxes. Okay, 80 at 8.5, we're paying $6,800. So you can kind of see right here, you have a $5,000 difference where you're like, okay, so are you going to make that back selling that vehicle outright? And I would traditionally say if you can double what you're going to lose in taxes, you're probably going to be okay. Now, if we bump it up to say they give you 70 for your trade and you're only paying tax on the 10,000, it's $850 versus 6,800. So I strongly urge people to really sit down and find out what your state, I know Colorado is this way. Most states I've bought in are this way. All states, no, I'm not going to be as bold as to say that they're all that way. So I would just say when you want to get the most out of your trade is do your homework ahead of time. Go find the dealer that has the vehicle that matches what you're looking for. Find out and make sure you're getting the best deal on their vehicle first. And when you call or reach out to them, you don't need to talk numbers to them. And I'm going to do another video on how things to watch when you go to a dealership and how to get the best deal. But this one's mainly about the trade. But get the price nailed down on their vehicle, what it is. Are there any addendums marking it up? And then if that price feels comfortable with you, then you cruise in and you then take your trade with you, clean it up as nice as you possibly can. First impressions are everything. Take it in and then let them look at it, okay? Again, objectively, you already know your values because you went and did all of that research on it, okay? And you already know. Now, some vehicles, they're so old, unless they're a collector car, they have very, very little value. So if you had, say, not super popular, an 83 Chevy pickup with 290,000 miles, you're probably not going to get much for it, okay? So if you go in there and they say, we're going to give you $500 for it, that's probably about right. And in that sense, then I would just tell you to clean that bad boy up and sell it on the internet to a cool, to a young buck that just thinks it's cool and wants to have a cool pickup. Sell it to them for $1,500 because it's a good truck. It just doesn't have as much trade value. But anything that's probably 20 years or newer right now, as long as it's in reasonably good condition, I think you're going to be good. So that's how you're going to get the most for your trade. If you decide to sell it outright, get a Carfax for your people that are going to come and look at it, because that way you can show value. You can show everything. You can show them this is the range that they think I could sell for outright, and if you're lower than that, great. And they take the market into the thought of how that value comes out. It's market based. So, the market might be different in Arkansas. So if you found the truck you wanted in Arkansas, you need to know the Arkansas market. So you find an Arkansas zip code, jam that into cars.com and find values there. And sometimes going out there and saving money there, $10,000-$15,000 is a value. So you don't keep yourself, so closed up to that. So we'll do another video on how to, buy a car, things to watch out for at a dealer, things that I'm going to give you that if you go to a dealer and see, I would just suggest that you just walk out. and go find another one. But hopefully this helps on finding the best trade value for your car. Guys, we're going to see you soon. Thanks.